Yeah, it was really a day to forget for poor old Nico Rosberg. The peak of his misery seemed to be caused after this move down into turn 6. And yeah, you can see that Max Verstappen moves just under the braking zone, but it was a real late call from Rosberg himself. And eventually Max having to take to the escape road and to come back on. But if I just play that again for you, there's something to look out for. On the run down, just look at his hand on the wheel as he rolls into the corner. I'll slow it down for you. So watch the turquoise glove. Now the giveaway to me is right now. So he's on full lock. We can see that, a full lock. I'll just roll it back slightly so you can see again. So that glove just goes down around about there. And if I use the magnifying tool as well, so you can't see the glove anymore. So roll that on, and now, just clear that away, there's no more he can do to turn that car anymore. He was on full lock, and so Max really was running out of road, but you know, that's all he had left. That was the only option he had left, and it was because Nico was so late on the brakes. I personally thought it was a pretty daring move. This is what it looked like on board, so yeah, we can clearly see the hand on the wheel now. So there's the move from Max, and I think if Nico had braked and turned earlier, he would have probably locked up, because the car was already at the limit of adhesion of grip. And yeah, so there's got multiple views of it. I personally felt, like many others, that the penalty was quite harsh. And yeah, moving on to his radio call, I think he said pretty much the same thing.
Nico, important, you keep pushing. You've got a 5-second penalty that we need to take at the next pit stop.
Can you explain to them that I was full lock on the steering wheel and I couldn't steer more? And he moved in braking. That was the big problem. That's completely not allowed.
So when a driver moves under the braking zone, it catches you out, you do run the risk of locking up a tyre. If you lock up, you're going to be even more out of control. You won't stop the car as well. That's why he had to keep the car as straight as he could to give himself the best chance to slow the car down. It was a very different situation, in my opinion, to what happened in Austria, and we can all remember that. But just have another look at this footage. I mean, you can see that this time he's the one on the attack. He's the one being attacked, sorry, and you can clearly see he doesn't even try to turn in, and that's why it was so blatant in Austria. But there, he didn't get the penalty. So there's an inconsistency there, and there's an inconsistency in driver stewards as well. We have a different one every single race. They all have their own opinion, like everybody else, but I've spoken to multiple different current drivers on the way here to the Skypad, and they all pretty much agree, all agree with me. Sorry, he got the 10-second penalty, of course, in Austria, but perhaps should have been worse, probably should have been worse. The thing that I want to point out is in Hungary, Max Verstappen around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen. When you're faced with grass on the exit, you have to yield. Slow it down for you. So this is a move that should be on. Now just imagine we're on this circuit here where you've got this sea of tarmac on the exit. Hungary's different. It's an old school circuit, and the driver's faced with grass. You don't want to run onto that stuff. You have to back out of it. And that's the difference. The driver knows that they can't get away with going onto the grass. So that's the difference with this circuit to other older established circuits like in Hungary. So that was the reason why he got the penalty, and this was the actual moment where he had to serve it. We've got the stop clock running for you as the car comes to a standstill. Remember, it was a 5-second penalty. 6, 7, 8. Now the boys start working on the car. So, I don't know, we'll have to ask the team the full clarification on the rules here, but the car was clearly stopped slightly longer, so he lost even more time there than maybe he expected. He was put in that position from this moment here, the start. Listen to this. When he gets into third gear, he spins up the wheels and loses traction. He does the clutch point first. And he has to back out of the wheel spin in third gear. Watch this move from Max Verstappen, by the way. Slots in the inside and then goes to the outside of his teammate. Look how close those two Red Bulls got. Brilliant stuff from Max there. But yeah, that's where it really started to go wrong for Nico. The car bogged down initially when he tried to get off the line, and then erupted in wheel spin. He was behind Daniel Ricciardo around turn 3. And yeah, and we all know the rest of the story. So back to you, Simon.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, just to clear that up, in Austria it was 10 seconds was applied to Nico Rosberg's time after the race, but in that 5 seconds. Toto, let's get your views overall on everything that happened there. You must be delighted with what happened for Lewis, but for Nico it was just one of those races. And can I get your views on that and the team's view on the penalty too?
Well, first of all, a win is a win, and we have won all races this season so far, bar one in Barcelona, where they've taken themselves out, and this is why generally I'm happy, but it's a bit bittersweet. We don't understand what happened at the start. You could clearly hear lots of wheel spin in second and third gear, or even up higher, and then he lacked pace. And if things turn to, are you allowed to say shit on the TV?
No, you can't. Apologize.
You can't, but
sorry.
into this, then the pit stop came on top of it, which wasn't our most brilliant moment. But believe it or not, even in a high technology company like ours, a stopwatch can fail, and then we needed to take it conservative.
Can I ask you about, sorry Dave, can I ask you about that stopwatch failure? It's Ron Meadows' stopwatch, I understand. Is it a sundial? I think it was like a sundial. It was 8 seconds, 8.2 seconds. I think we saw that. It was a little bit more than the 5. What happened?
It's not the responsibility of one single person, but the stopwatch simply didn't start at 0, but started below, believe it or not. It's a stupid mistake, and you want to slap yourself, but this is what can happen.
1001, 1002,
Mississippi to Mississippi.
Yeah, but that's how we used it. But anyway, I mean, it was going to happen. I mean, what we've seen, I think, now, Toto, is we've got 2 Red Bulls now dividing your cars. It's getting tighter, isn't it, at the front?
It does, but isn't that motor racing? We had a very good race in Hungary where we believed the Red Bulls to be a real force and probably beating us. We were much better than expected, and here on race day we didn't somehow bring it together, and one car was very good and we could have maybe pulled even bigger gap. He was managing it, and the other car lacked pace, and it's clear the gaps are going to shrink.
Can I just ask one question? I mean, you see the data, you see the difference between the drivers. How can we have a driver like Nico who can do amazing qualifying performances, and yet Lewis is just, in the race, he just seems to disappear every time?
It wasn't always like that. We've seen that in the last couple of races. And don't forget, you know, there's a human in the car. And you need to be comfortable. The setup needs to work for you. Your mind needs to be in the right position. And he had a really awful start. He lost some positions. He saw that the gap was gone. Then he made, for me, quite a courageous attempt on young Max and got penalized for it. So maybe he got in a downward spiral.
Let me take the positives for Nico. Take nothing away from Lewis Hamilton. He's forced himself into a large lead now, a relatively large 19 points. But he's going to take. Do you think he's going to take these 2 engines in Spa? And if so, just absorb the pain. Then that would be what, 20 places, wouldn't it, combined? Because he can't carry any.
We haven't decided yet how we want to do and where we want to do it. It's about penalizing him the least, and so we have to think about that now.
Okay, but by that you probably take them, you'd think, at the same race, whether it's Spa or not, would you?
Spa Monza probably, but I'm not sure we're taking 2 engines.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much. Appreciate your time. Go and enjoy that, and we'll see. Have a good break. Yeah, have a good holiday.
Well, that went really nicely, didn't it? Tell us about the sort of weird, what was going on in the middle of strategically, because initially you had 1 on 3 and 1 on 2. Then you did, how close was it when it suddenly dawned on you that 2 stops wasn't going to work?
Well, we set off with the objective of at least trying to do 1 on the 2 stop, but then the tyre deg was a little higher than we wanted. At the first stop, we put the drivers on different tyres, and so Max went on to the Super Soft, his new set of Super Soft available, and Daniel onto the Soft. And so then they were running slightly different races, and you know, the way they worked together as a team to ensure we got both cars ahead of Nico when he had that penalty were fantastic. You know, they cooperated as well as you could expect it.
Yeah, so what happened there? Did they know what was going on, or did you have to advise them what the situation was?
They're pretty aware of what's going on, so I'm sure there'll be you know, further clarification, because they were aware what tyres, but what sets were new, what sets were scrubbed, what sets were super soft and so on, and what the opposition were doing. So, but they you know, worked exactly as a team should, you know, worked in harmony with the pit wall, did everything that could have been done today.
I realise there's probably no point in me asking you about what you thought of the penalty to Rosberg, but this is Formula One racing, isn't it? You're an ex-racing driver. I mean, yes, he did push him out wide, but I don't know, it's 50-50 I thought, didn't you?
The problem is he did a pretty bad job of it, because golden rule is in a job like that is lock your fronts up and look as if you can't stop. The problem is he looked like he was driving to Cologne, and you know, that's a bit naughty. So
yeah, but Max was a bit naughty in the last race and got away with it. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Well, they're the rules. That's what the stewards deemed. So I'm not going to complain today.
No, I'm sure you're not. Okay, but final thought that you're well and truly not only got the measure of Ferrari, but also actually you were surprisingly close to Mercedes' pace. Rosberg couldn't close on your two in the last stint at all, could he?
He was on the soft tyre and we were on the super soft at that point. But no, really encouraging that the pace at this track, where we didn't expect to be as competitive, you know, we were actually, you know, not too far off. So really encouraging for the second half of the year.
Good. Well done. Thank you.
Ferrari perhaps weren't. Their race pace just looks to be diminishing all the time. Let's get some reaction from the Scuderia, starting with Maurizio Arrivabene.
Ciao, Maurizio. We go into the summer break. How would you sum up the situation that your team are at the moment?
I mean, I'm not sure that I go to the summer break, because I think we have to work hard. The situation of the team, it's the same that we have in Hungary, it's the same that we have in Silverstone. I think that we learn something from there, and we look forward to fight again.
Yeah, okay, because Red Bull have now moved ahead. Do you think there is inherent pace in this car? Because it seemed a difficult race as well. Sebastian wasn't sure about the calls from the pit wall.
No, I mean, the calls of the pit wall, normally we are using word in between us to understand the condition of the track, and the driver is giving us some answer that they are for us information. Concerning Red Bull, of course, they improve and it's making the championship more interesting.
Okay, certainly. Yeah, thank you, Maurizio.
Well, their sporting director Andy Stevenson is with us. Andy, 15 points the gap between yourself and Williams. Dizzy heights if you can get into fourth.
Certainly, yeah. We've been pushing to chase that fourth position for a long time now. I mean, at the start of the year, our goal was to finish fifth in the Constructors' Championship. And I think we're still on for a good chance to try and get fourth. But it's not going to be easy. Yeah, we've got, 9 races left. And Williams are still a strong team. They didn't have the greatest day today, and we managed to gain a little bit on them.
And what do you think that a team like Williams has got that you haven't got? That you must be making the storyline is that you're making much better use of the resources and you've got less resources. Is that actually fair to say that or not?
Well, that's what it looks like. I mean, I've never worked at Williams, so I haven't got a clue what they've got. I've only ever worked at Force India, so they've clearly got big resources, and they're a very established team. They have their own wind tunnel on their doorstep. They've got the same engine as we do, and they've got 2 very strong drivers. So it is going to be tough, and if we can do it, we will be extremely happy.
But you'll know right now, with only 9 races to go, presumably everything that's on the development conveyor belt, if you like, is there. There's not much more you can do to bring improvements for the end of 2016 that's not already factored in?
Yeah, well, there's always little things you can do. I mean, any package that you have, you're always striving to improve that package. So where we're at now, we're still learning about it. We've only done 2 races with the package that we have available at the moment, and the engineers are still getting to understand it. So, you know, each weekend we're hoping we're going to get more performance out of the car.
Just finally, you are definitely confident that you've got Perez and Hulkenberg for next year, because we hear such conflicting reports.
It's that time of year, isn't it? So yeah. Until we get onto the grid in Melbourne or wherever the first race may be, you never know. But at the moment, that's what we're planning.
Well done, Andy. Enjoy your summer holidays. I'm sure you're going somewhere very nice. Cheers. Appreciate it.